So welcome to episode 3 of Coffee with Paul. This is going to be a quick episode. I want to go through some of the questions from this week, but I've been really enjoying this series. From a personal perspective, I think it helps sometimes just diving into some of your questions. It makes me think about more topics sometimes. Basically, it's free therapy, let's just put it that way. And your feedback's been really positive as well. If you've been watching this on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter, I'm trying to be in as many places as I possibly can right now. I just want to start this video by saying thank you for all of the recent support. And if you do have a question that you want me to answer, please feel free to drop it in any comments on any of the videos that you see, or drop me a message and I'll answer it in one of the next videos. So let's dive in. Coffee's ready. Love this mug as well. Progress, not perfection. First question's from Petra. How old are you and what would you say to the younger you? I'm 28. I'm nearly 29, even though, I don't know, some people say I look older, some people say I look younger. The advice that I would give to the younger me, it depends how young. Let's say the 17-year-old me, who obviously I lost my dad at 18 to suicide, so I think 17 might be the best age, because 18 was definitely the biggest turning point for me. I would say to him that don't be afraid of being you. Don't be afraid of being vulnerable. And I would also tell him to remember that the opinions of others aren't as important as you think they are. So back then I was always worried about what people thought of me. I was a people pleaser. I still am sometimes to this extent, but back then it really kind of trapped. It really made me feel very entrapped, always worrying what people thought of me. And I think back then, if I had that advice and if I know what I know now of really not to worry about other people's opinions, just to focus in on what I wanted, I think I would have been a lot happier. I also probably would say to the 17-year-old me to just spend some more time with your dad. Of course, if I knew what was about to happen back then, I would have cherished those moments a lot more. And I think that's so important, and it's so cliche to say, but the more that we can cherish the moments, the special moments with our family is so important, because we never know what might happen. We never know what's around the corner. And also on that note, cherish the moments that you have with yourself. Do more of what you enjoy. Life is way too short. Second question from Sunny on Twitter. What do you do for fun? I love the work that I do. So to be honest with you, I really enjoy work, and I enjoy the business, and I enjoy the work that I do. So I actually find that fun. Fun for me is switching off, spending time with family as well. I like going, it sounds so bad, but I like going to restaurants and trying new food, and just kind of going to social events and meetups, and also as well, like spending time with my old friends. Like, I've got a good bunch of old friends that we all went to school together. We've been on lots of holidays together, which I won't mention too much about. And just meeting up with them for a beer and catching up, and not talking about mental health or what I've been up to is nice. Like talking about the old stories and laughing about things that happened in the past is a really good escapism for me, to be honest. And I think that's important, that we have different groups of friends. Like, I've got people that I speak to about mental health, which is great. I've got people I speak to about business. I've got people, I've got family. Then I've got friends as well that, we can just go and have a laugh and talk about things that have happened in the past. Third question. What's the best way to deal with emotions when returning to work? Alice. Don't worry about other people's judgment of you, because I think as well, when we go back to work, we're always worried about what other people may perceive of the time that we've had off. They may ask questions. I remember coming back to work after Dad's suicide. I had probably about a month off, and I was just, oh my God, everyone's going to ask loads of questions. What am I going to say? I got back, I sat on my desk, and no one said a thing. And then someone come up to me and they said, where have you been, Paul? You've been on holiday. And no one in the office knew, apart from obviously my manager and my supervisor. And that shocked me. And I had to tell him. I was like, I can't remember what I said, but my dad died. And then just the awkward silence happened, and then nothing else was ever said. But before that, my mind was going around like, telling me all these scenarios and stories that were going to eventually happen. So I would honestly just say, just focus in on you. Don't worry about the judgment of others, and that's going to help you deal with those emotions when returning to work. Louise asks, I'm trying to support someone through depression, but apart from the doctor, what other services can I offer them? The million-dollar question. For me, I've got a lot of not anger, but a lot of drive towards trying to change this, because obviously, as you know, if you've ever experienced with supporting someone with mental health or mental health yourself, the lack of support, the lack of resources, the lack of therapy, the lack of treatment that's available to us is shocking. And, you know, with suicide being the biggest killer of young people, men under 45, the suicide statistics are scary. Should we really be waiting 8 months for therapy? I truly believe that that's a massive issue that needs to be addressed very quickly. But in terms of what other support there are out there, there are a lot of support and resources. There's a lot of charities that do amazing work. They are literally picking up the slack from what the government, the NHS aren't doing at the moment. So you've got like lines like Calm, they have a male designated suicide hotline. You've got Papyrus, you've got obviously Samaritans, you've got charities like the Sure Mind Foundation that focus in on mental health education and the next generation. You've got the Grace Deer Charity Foundation, you've got Lucy Rayner Foundation. There's so many out there that do amazing work, and definitely try and check out those and see what services they offer. The other thing that I would suggest is a website called hubofhope.co.uk. Go and check that out, put in your location. You're going to see a lot of resources around your local area in relation to mental health. What one thing would you want to improve right now? That's from Christine. Good question. This is a weird one. Dressing better. I know I'm wearing a shirt today, but my style was obviously, I used to really focus in on what I wore, and then I became very casual because I was focusing in on like how I feel. And now I feel like I've dropped my style again. And I was at an event recently with David Gandy. It was amazing to speak on a panel with him, and it was at Geese and Hawks in Savile Row, and I was seeing all these guys wearing amazing suits, and there I was wearing a suede jacket and a jumper, which was, you know, as dressed up as I get nowadays, and thinking I need to start upping my game. So definitely I want to start dressing a little bit better, and wearing a shirt today is the first step. What do I think about the school system and what can they do to improve mental health in children? I personally, this is just personal opinion, I think the school system is extremely outdated. It needs a lot of change. I remember when I was at school, it was all about memorizing stuff. And of course, back then it was okay because we didn't walk around with this thing here in our pocket, which has most of the answers to what we used to learn back in school. So personally, I think we do need to change the school system. We need to update it because we do need to start focusing in on the mental well-being of our students. I always say we focus very heavily on academic intelligence, the grades that we get, but we're not really focusing in on emotional intelligence. And I learned a lot at school, but I didn't learn how to grieve over my dad's suicide. I didn't learn how to deal with insecurities. I didn't learn how to deal with stress or worries that I started to realize when I started to enter into the world of work. So I personally believe the school system needs to change a lot. It's not going to happen overnight, but we need to start focusing in on definitely mental health education. And then the final question that I'm going to answer, because I need to shoot to a meeting, how do you spot the signs of someone who might be struggling? That's from Jamie. I personally believe it's all about behaviors. Again, this is just personal experience. When my dad was struggling, obviously his behaviors changed very quickly. He went from someone who was working, you know, the dad that we all knew, to someone who was extremely sad, and his eyes were very distant. And I remember him saying, you know where the briefcase is that has all the information for my bank accounts. And of course, we had no education on it, so to us, it was just a bit of a shock, but we didn't know what to do to support him. And that was a huge behavior change that was a massive warning sign. It could be more gradual as well. It could be social withdrawals. It could be, distracting themselves a lot. There's a lot of behavior changes that are a lot more subtle than that. But we need to be able to be aware of those behavior changes. Another behavior change on my dad's perspective that I only thought about recently when I was delivering a talk within a company was when he was in the mental health unit, he told them that he was feeling fine, and he told us that he was feeling a lot better. And he told them that, of course, he wanted to be home with his family. That was what was going to support him at that moment in time. And they obviously believed him. And that was his reason of saying, I need to get out of this mental health unit. And I think those behavior changes, whether it's from really sad to really happy, or really, really happy to really sad, or more subtle changes in behaviors as well, is so important, and we need to look out for those behavior changes as well. And I think as well, if we do notice behavior changes, I always say it's all about being compassionate. You know, asking them from a compassionate, caring place is going to be much better than just calling them outright and saying, why are you not coming to this event? Because it's going to make them feel more judged by doing so. So again, that's just my personal opinions on it based upon experience. But I'll answer one more question. How important is exercise when it comes to improving your mental health? From Joel. So important. Exercise helped me massively. And again, it's not committing to a marathon every day. It's committing to just doing a little bit. So this morning I was going to go for a run. I had a couple of phone calls. It got a bit too late, so I didn't go. My mind starts beating myself up. Like, you should have gone for a run. You're a letdown. Da 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 da. But instead, I went over there. I did, I think, 5-10 minutes of just a little bit of exercise at home. Releases endorphins, I start to feel a little bit better, jumped in the shower, and that helped massively. So don't overthink it. Exercise is a massive help. You don't have to do a lot. It can be as simple as doing 5-10 minutes a day to begin with. Small wins always lead to bigger results. That's what I always kind of say. And I definitely think exercise is a huge benefit to improving your mental health. And also finding what works for you, like what's fun. Like for me, running's great because running makes me feel closer to my dad because it's what we used to do. Running's almost like a form of meditation for me. Put me in a yoga studio and it's another question. I feel angry because I can't even touch my knees, let alone my toes. But yoga might help you. So think what helps you in terms of exercise, and just give it a go. If you enjoyed this video, Coffee with Paul, let me know. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments below, wherever you're watching this. And I hugely appreciate you taking all the time out to watch this, even though I keep calling it Coffee with Paul and I'm not even drinking, I'm just answering a load of questions. But hopefully you enjoyed your coffee, and I'll see you all in a video very soon.